speaker today will be Bao Ho, who is a street artist from Hong Kong. So I'll let Bao introduce herself and talk about her experience with street art. Please welcome Bao.
Good morning, everyone. I feel like I woke up too early this morning, so I'm not sure if I speak something stupid. And I'm Val. I'm born and raised in Hong Kong, and I never had a really art training. I was a graphic designer for like 6 or 7 years, and then I found out it's not something I want to do, so I quit my job and started to travel and try to live with my art until I was traveling in Italy. Until I was traveling in Italy, in Milano, I met some street artists, and then they brought me to a street art event in some small town in Milano, and then there I did my first wall. And then after I did the first wall, I really think street art is something really different, because drawing was my hobby, and then I just drawing it at home, and I just see it by myself. But after I did my first street art, I found out this is something really different and interesting, so I really like it. And after I did my first wall, I'm back in Hong Kong, and then I start to kind of be a full-time artist, and I had more commission project and some work. And actually the first year I paid for the Hong Kong walls as well, but these 2-3 years, because like Hong Kong is quite limited number of walls, so I couldn't paint this 2-3 years. That's why this year I traveled more to overseas to paint for other street art festival. Like I did one in Australia, in China, and Switzerland, and this is some commercial work. And I did one lately in Bristol in UK, and this is very interesting. They said they are the largest street art festival in Europe, because they said like they have 400 artists every year to this year to come to participate of the festival, and they have more than maybe 60,000 people to come for the festival just to see the artwork and talk to the artists. And this year also like quite interesting, because they are working with the Simpsons, and I was really lucky that I got chosen by Macaroni, and then I did 2 mural for the Simpsons for the festival. And I think that is really interesting for the community. Like this kind of festival, they have already doing it for like more than 10 years. No, this year is 10 years. And they're getting bigger and bigger, and it's already become a traditional festival for the neighborhood. So it's like their very famous balloon festival, harbor festival. For them it's also the same, because I arrived like 1 week before the festival, and already there are some people talking about the festival to me, like, oh, we have this art class that you should check it out. And yeah, I think like this is really getting into the community, and for me that community is something about communication and connection. So street art is something like provide an opportunity to people to know each other, or to communicate with each other. And yeah, I think like this kind of festival is really making something good for the community. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so, and also I think also quite interesting about the festival is that they have some talk in between the festival, like a panel thing, like people can really meet the artists, and they can ask something that they really want to ask the artist. Like for example, how can you make money? Like most of the people think artists, like if you are an artist, then you must be rich. Like you don't need to make money, like just do art, but it's not true. But like for this kind of opportunity that we can explain to people what we're doing, and then how we can do something good for the community and stuff. So yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, thanks, Bob. So next we have Graham Becker, who is creative director and art director of Golan. So please welcome Graham.
Josan, good morning. Yeah, it is very early. I'm barely alive. I've got a 2-week-old daughter too, so I'm just barely hanging on. So if I fall asleep while I'm talking, that's why. Yeah, so I'm a creative art director at Golden. I'm from Canada. I grew up on Vancouver Island. My art and design career started really, really early when we were building houses as a family when I was 9 years old. And we developed houses or built houses in large developments where there's lots of houses being built at the same time. So there's lots and lots of construction crews around. And if you know any types of construction crews, they use spray painting for marking spots, marking land. There's always a good array of cans being strewn about in construction sites. There's red, pink, green, white, and black. So I got really good with those colors at a very, very young age. But it wasn't called street art then. It was called graffiti. It wasn't street art. It wasn't nice. Like it wasn't a good thing. It was always shitty. Even if it was an amazing piece or looked really nice, it was still graffiti. And I always get the question, like, what's the difference between street art and graffiti? I'm actually, I guess, KRS-One said a really cool line with hip hop, and he said, the difference between rappers and an MC, a rapper spits rhymes that are mostly illegal, MCs spit rhymes that uplift their people. I think that's sort of like street art. Street art is like that, it uplifts the community. It's something that you say and want to share with the community. Graffiti is just self-indulgent, here's my name, or like draw a big dick on the wall, and run away. That's sort of what graffiti is, right? It is an art in itself, but it's sort of self-serving. Street art to me is something that is very community, and it is saying a message or a concept or something that you want to say or share or make a certain dark corner in the city right. Yeah, so I mean, I was a street artist for quite a while by accident. I didn't really I wasn't in the, I'm a street artist. I just had things that I wanted to try and say. This is one of many pieces that I did, like a street art concept where I was dating a ballerina dancer in Beijing for about a year, and I just started seeing her as an assassin. Because she would be up at like 4 in the morning doing these like exercises, and she had this amazing chart of perfected ballet poses. So I started seeing different stories within those, and I ended up doing a whole collection of silhouettes and stencils of these perfected ballet poses with weapons and shit. It was pretty cool, but I tested it out. It was not something that I wanted to become a street artist or known for. It's something I just wanted to get out in the world, and so that was my thing. So, where did I put the? Wow, that's so tiring. So yeah, you asked me a few things of like why street art is important to me as a creative and art director. It is extremely important. I think it's like a way of thinking, like an expression, or thinking differently, or saying something in the market, or advertising. It's just not normal. Everyone thinks corporate as soon as you get into this corporate world, and it's very different now. People are much more open to wilder creative concepts, and that's what street art is. It's just this massive expression of a concept or whatever. And then it's a message, it's a story, it's an outlet. I wouldn't be here without it. So like really, I got known for being different in different art and a different way of thinking, and I started putting street art onto canvases and selling those so I could pay rent. I did the very similar thing to Bao. I was doing a job, which my friends are like, what are you doing? You do all of this other stuff, and just go follow your dreams. So I did it, and I was staying in a little tiny apartment in Hong Kong, one of where you can like go to the washroom, stir your dinner, and change your bed sheet at the same time. And it was very, very small, but I would, selling 1 or 2 canvases would allow me to pay rent. I would take those ideas that I had street art and then put them onto canvases and then sell those. But it gave myself a name, and I started doing commissions, same thing, restaurants and brands and things like that, just different concepts. But that's what happened. But when I was building the houses, going back to when I first started, my punishment as a child was never go to your room. We were building houses, so my parents would give me like the blueprint and say build the garage or build a garden shed. So I was really getting to know blueprints and design and perfection, and I got a little bit of OCD from that. So it was this raw creative side and as plus with this OCD designer side. So I started figuring out how to design. And the big thing was how it's really influenced my role now is basically from the approach to it, because a lot of times, when I first started doing street art, it wasn't exactly, I didn't have permission to do things where I wanted to do them, so I had to prepare, and a lot of the things that I wanted to do were very fine and unique. I couldn't do them with a can, so I was doing these massive, elaborate stencils, and so that I could go paste it up, paint this massive thing, rip it down, and then take off before I got caught. And that's sort of graffiti, but street art mentality. But the process leading up to that was what really taught me how to be like a designer and a proper artist. Was how do you get an idea from your head to on paper or communicate that with someone who's working or paying you to do art? And that's really what stemmed from doing commission art all the way to now what I use as a creative process for branding, for advertising, for brand concepts, for advertising campaigns. It's the same process that I use from all the way back from doing a mural in a restaurant. Also, this is sort of which campaigns have worked as an art director and from street art. A lot of it is from street art, like directly street art now. A lot of companies or brands will ask for street artists as KOLs. A lot of them look for different things. I have a few different ideas and that I love from this one, Castello del Diablo. You can't really see it with this deck, but I love the idea. We called it Paint the Town Red. So we wanted to get a brand to own a color. So anytime you saw a color in a city, you would think of that brand and have like these pop-up shops and have like artists come and paint and do their thing with red. But that was one of them, as well as we did like a launch with Fox with street art with reveal. So we painted Simpsons everywhere, and then later on you'd be like, oh, that's that Simpsons, and then a week later we would spray paint on Fox Plus. So that was sort of, oh, that's where I know it's from. So there's like lots of different launch ideas. But I just wanted to show you guys quickly the creative process. That this is what I first started using to get commissioned. Because people again and again, when you have an idea, you draw an idea, then give it to them. Draw an idea, then give it to them. You'd spend 50 hours drawing ideas to get them to say yes to an idea, and then it would only take you 10 minutes to figure out, to actually paint or to go in and do the actual work. So I started doing this and laying it out from my graphic design mind to then help with the art. But this is basically what it all started from this, and then it went to now this, which is like the creative process. Regardless if it's a massive art piece or if it's like a crazy branding process, it all goes through the same thing. So it's briefing, sign off, all this stuff, and then it allows you to be very creative. And all of this other shit is handled, all the business crap as an artist, you know what's going to happen. It sort of sets you free. It's like setting the parameters that you can just actually think about the creative instead of how much am I going to pay for this, how long do I have to spend on this, how long do I have to do this, oh, here's the sketch, what is it going to look like. So it's more about like covering up different parts of the dartboard so that you highlight this bullseye that only you can hit. Anyways. Again, detailed branding process just goes to this. And this is stemmed from this graffiti process that I helped, or that I used to work with commissioned clients. And so this is some of the other stuff that we're talking about with CDD brand. We had like a neon street artist come in and do neon. I had like Obey artists, and then started doing different things and then the Fox one as well. But yeah, I mean, so that's it sort of for me, but I just wanted to let you guys know about a few other things, and we were talking about this earlier today. I think that when people say they label you as a creative because you paint or do something creative, I think for me everybody's creative, and if you can solve a problem, it's creativity. And I think one of the biggest things that we need to do now is just to give opportunities in the community to let people just try to get an idea out, because I think a lot of us have ideas or concepts in our head or that think I can't draw. A lot of people say that to me, I can't draw. Can you write? Yes, I can write. That means you can draw. Can you draw a triangle, a circle? I just think that we put ourselves in these boxes that where we're not, oh, I'm not creative, oh, I'm not an artist. It seems crazy to me. I think that we just need a few more opportunities to let people just try and get these ideas out, because it's amazing when you give people opportunities to do this. We actually started a foundation in Hong Kong about 6 years ago called Street Poppy, and it was an outlet for refugees that were in Hong Kong that had a very limited budget, and orphans in Hong Kong. And we brought them together, and we gave them a shit ton of cans, and they just sprayed and sprayed and sprayed and sprayed, and they go and try things. And by like the third or fourth week, they were producing insane artworks. Even like the 7-year-old kids that had no experience, no training, after a few times of trying and just getting it out and a process, they were producing amazing art. And they weren't artists. Some of the refugees had never drawn in their life ever. They were math teachers and things like that. And then eventually, after 2 or 3 sessions, they were producing amazing artwork. So I just think that's one of the things as a community we need to sort of shed, that I'm not creative or I'm not an artist. I think everyone is. You just have to be given an opportunity or make yourself try. So anyways, thank you very much.
Thanks, do you have the paper?
Probably.
I think Graham hit right on those actually, because the motto of Creative Mornings is everyone is creative. So I don't know if you do that and try to plug it in, but thanks for sharing. Okay, our last speaker is Vicky from Accidental Art. So please welcome Vicky.
This is probably the earliest event I've ever been, so. Okay, thanks to two speakers, and they introduced how art got created and how to be an artist themselves. So for me, my job is really talking about their stories and distribute to the audiences, right? So we always see great graffiti on the wall, but a few people just pass by and don't know what are the stories behind. So I think that's the point why I'm here and introduce my story with street art. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about my story with street art, the most irresistible form of art. And I'm Vicky, come from Accidental Art, a young organization, and we founded 4 years ago. So the concept we have is try to bring art into your everyday life. I'm from Shanghai, and I come to Hong Kong 4 years ago, exactly August 24th, so it's a great way to celebrate it. So I coming from a very engineering, like techie background, and I learned, automation engineering at the beginning. But first time I know about art is really say, I walk on the street, I saw all those amazing, beautiful murals on the wall. So that time just get my attention and say, wow, so what's this? So I started getting to know about it and find art lovers and talk about it. So now I'm art specialist and leading the weekly street art tours in Central area. Just talking about basic stories behind the wall instead of just pass by and So a lot of things, actually I show you some pictures what we've done, and the first one that's the most interesting comments I usually receive. So if you can recognize the first piece, actually showing up in Central, the most famous, popular, Instagram mural ever, and always tons of people showing up, taking pictures,
right? Even sometimes you can see people standing like 2 layers in front of it, trying to get the perfect picture. But nobody knows actually that's talking about the story about Hong Kong's wall city, right? Which got pulled down in 1994 and used to be the biggest slum in Asia. So when I mention about this, a lot of people's feedback is quite, wow, okay, yeah, first time I know it. So that time I got very impressed and think, yes, it's meaningful for me to keep doing this. Talking about street art in Hong Kong, I want to say big thanks to all the organizations we have. Why I'm saying that? So you can't believe this picture is just 3 years ago. So it's one of, I would say, one of the most international street artists named Invader come to Hong Kong and did a series of graphic the street art in Hong Kong. However, it got removed rapidly by Hong Kong government. Yeah, clearly you can see, right? It's little tails and got cleared up immediately, and afterwards he uses systematically. So he got interviewed after that, and he mentioned about it's the first time his artwork got 80% moved by government rapidly and systematically. It's very impressive. I know that, right? So this is a great one. It used to be in Happy Valley, but it's gone. And a series of his artwork are gone now. Yeah, that time, you think about it's 2015, right? And the government still be very strict to street artists. However, during these 3 years, I would say a lot of things changed in Hong Kong. Like we can see different art events happening in March, and the government started to recognize, wow, it's a great advertisement for the city. It's good to have them, right? So slowly change about it. But I would say it's not the government to recognize this by themselves. It's most of the how markets educate them back. So you can see the restaurants or the stores starting finding street artists help them to promote themselves. So this actually is the GOD, the store, invite the artist named Alex Croft come over and painted it. And this is another restaurant, Umanota, and invite our artists come and paint it too. So more and more restaurants and stores doing this and using street art to promote themselves. At the same time, as mentioned before, right, Hong Kong Walls and also Smile Maker and the accidental art, we also help the restaurant and the stores to connect with street arts. So once everything started emerging and showing up in the market, that time, I would say government recognize, the public authority recognize, oh, it's a chance, it's not a bad thing. We can have it in a positive way. So more and more graffiti shows up. Even you can see some illegal ones showing up in alley won't be removed rapidly by government authority. So big thanks to local organization and business. And second thing, while we talking about street art today, actually street art showing up 30 years ago, right? I used to come from New York and then develop quickly in other cities, but it's not the case to everybody, because when we talking about art, or when like the beginning idea why we found this organization is because people always feel there's a huge gap between art and yourself, right? Art used to show up like this. And if you want to engage with it, you probably like these kids, right? Try to get a selfie. I wish you got the Mona Lisa in it. But nowadays we can have different ways to engage with it. So generally, across different channels, you can see street artists just pop up and actively engage with art. So the first one is the Shaka Ferry, and he got a poster showing up in the biggest movement in US, the Woman March. And also we have the other artists just to have those crossover with those H&M or those brands, very famous brands, to have their art on it. So you can wear art on you. And also you can see, the traditional, all like the most famous one also showing up on Instagram, those young channels. So it's a good sign, I would say, arts become more easy to access to it. So apart from the street art, it can show up in different form and different ways. And what does that mean to Hong Kong? Also, Hong Kong might slightly behind all these things. First of all, is because it used to be very strict to street artists in Hong Kong, but slowly it's just keeping pop up. So during my 2 years experience working as a street art specialist, I feel street art is such a great thing for all the Hong Kong artists. Why I'm saying that, because back to this June, I interviewed a few artists, some Hong Kong local artists or some foreign artists that live in Hong Kong and try to work out their own art formats. And I figured out, so as you know, we have over 1,700 events or exhibitions happen every year in Hong Kong. It's a lot. But when you talk about these and to those artists, they were get back to you say, oh yes, that's a lot, but it's not really connect with me. That's nothing related to my daily work or daily life, because it's most related to the those high-end exhibition like Art Basel, or they just want to trade it. It's not my business. So how we can help in that way, right? We have Art Basel, we have Art Central, but at the same time we have those free walls in town. We can have those local artists come over and have them art on the wall. So that time, I suddenly recognized street arts is a different meaning to those local artists. Give them a chance to show themselves instead of we just focusing on those high-end exhibitions in Hong Kong. And the second thing is most about like how to help young artists grow up in this city. So right, you see those even very mature, very established artists struggling in this bit. For young artists, we have like 98% of young artists graduate and decide to be a designer, a teacher, and they even don't want to be an artist because they cannot make a living here. But I would say walls in downtown or walls in South Island districts give them a chance to show them up. Right? Even you might not be art students, even you just interested in art, you can come over and paint it yourself on the wall. So it's not only accessible to everybody, it's also accessible to all the young artists that want to show themselves, show their talents. The background picture here is from an event done last year from the Secret Walls. So I'm using it here to step into maybe my last point. It's talking about like how people engage with as an audience, right? The rest of thing I mentioned about like an artist, like someone wants to work at art, but at the same time, you not necessarily to be an artist, you can just simply be an audience. So what have changed recently? I would say as audiences, you can most easily engage with art in this way. So for Secret Walls, they have those events. They have two artists and do the competition on the wall, and how they define who win the game. So it's just like detect the volume of cheering up. So who got the loudest cheers, and you're gonna win the game. And you got wine, you got wines, you got food, you got party. I would say that's the latest trend to engage with art, right? Because all the audiences now are millennials. So we experience it, we enjoy it in our own way. So that's most, I would say, most valuable thing about the street art. And street art, as what the artist said, right? When a piece of art brings color and joy to your everyday life, then maybe you realize it's not so unnecessary after all. So all of this, I would say that's the way how I appreciate art, and I want people to appreciate art, street art in the same way as me. I just want to share a last feeling I got in this city when I walk in downtown in the night. So there was one day I just walk in Central. I'm so stressed after all the 4-day walk. But when I pass about those buras, pass by those arts, I figured out I got cheers up. And I think street art cheers everybody in the same way, right? They cheers homeless people in the night. They cheers people, those workers work on the sun. They inspire students, inspire kids. They have everybody around it. So art is not that accessible. Actually, it's around you. So yeah, again, big thanks to all the organization, big thanks to all the street arts for keeping working in this industry and bring beautiful thing to everyone's daily life. Thanks.
Thanks, Vicky. Cool, so that's all we have for speakers today. So we'll do kind of a short Q&A. Thank you, Nick, for bringing the chair. So if we get the 3 speakers up here. just in the front here. And then we'll go for some questions. Anyone with the first question? This would be awkward if no one has a question. I'll just put chairs up here.
Question back there.
I need a sunglasses.
Hello. Thank you guys for the amazing sharings today. I have a question about how do you guys ensure there's interaction or dialogue between the street arts and its audience? Because the ultimate people who are seeing it and appreciating it are the people living on the street, right? So, or passing by and seeing it, not just the artist or the people in the community. So, do you always incorporate local symbols or related culture items in it? Or what happens when people there, they don't like it or they don't appreciate it? And how do you deal with that? Thank you.
I like, sorry, I like it when people don't like my art. I do. I like perspective. It's always going to be subjective. Art is always subjective. I don't think if you're commissioned to do something, yeah, you make sure that that person or the person that's commissioned you likes it, and there's ways to go around that. And I usually follow that process: briefing, debriefing, creating 3 concepts, blah blah blah. But if it's something that you're doing for you, you shouldn't really give up what people think. Because you're the artist, and that's sort of what art is, expressing yourself. So I wouldn't intentionally put things into one of my pieces to make people like it. I wouldn't create a piece for certain types of people to like it. For me, it's about just expression or an idea or a concept that I have. If people don't like it, I actually like that. What don't you like about it? Why do you hate it? As long as it creates some sort of emotion. The worst thing for me is, meh. Like, I love that, or I hate it. I like both of those. Those are equally great for me. Obviously, sometimes it's nice when someone appreciates it and likes it a bit more, but still, even getting any type of emotional reaction out of it is awesome for me. But I would never intentionally try to put something local in or Chinese characters for me if it's not about that story. If it's not about the story, then I wouldn't put it in.
I think for me, like, because you cannot please everyone, right? Like sometimes, for me, I think when I do street art, I think about the place that I'm gonna put my painting. Like, it's still for public people to see it every day. So I will think about when I do something in a place for war. Like I won't do something trying to against that place. Like I would do balance. Like I would do something what I like, but at the same time I won't do something to against the place. But if the people still don't like it, I cannot do anything. So if they don't like it, I just swap it. So yeah, and I just try to do the balance in between.
Thanks for the question, and to answer your first one, so you asked like how to bring them together, like how to connect the mural with the audiences. Join our tool. That's the best way. Yes, actually that's my job, is try to telling the story behind the mural. And at the same time, actually our organization try to bring those 3 artists to the front stage and say, hey, we organize the events and have everybody just chill there. And in front of the mural, we sit there and talk about it. So those kind of events always be organized. And the third about is really say, if someone not really appreciate that, it happened before to, like my guest joined my tour and really don't like the mural on the wall. And that time I just asked him to share the feeling, right? If you dislike it, just share why you dislike it. It's fine, it's not everybody appreciate all the type of arts. They can just talk about it. Actually, after they talk about it, they feel so positive about it because they feel they got the right to dislike the art, which is a great thing, So those kind of things can always be shared and can always be talk about it. I think that's the way how I get it. So yeah.
Hi, my name's Tiffany. I would love to understand your guys' views on the commercialization of street art in Hong Kong. So I'm very aware that in a place like Hong Kong, where commerce is king and tends to overshadow a lot of creative, part of the creative community, there is this risk that something beautiful that might have started not out of commercial desire becomes commercial as a result of simply being in Hong Kong. And I think maybe to say all commercial street art is bad is also too simplistic, but for example, when I saw the Victoria's Secret mural in Soho, I cringed. I was like, I don't feel like this is really art more than it is just an advertisement. So I'm really curious, how do you distinguish street art from street not art?
Okay, I start about this topic. Actually, when we talk about street art in Hong Kong, it usually show up in different forms. Like, first type of it is illegal work, right? You just show up and then you rush it and you run away. And the second, huge amount of street art work actually have done on commission. Yeah, I don't think it's not street art. As you take out street art, for example, if everybody remembers the first mural I showed you in Central about the Colon Wall City. So GOD is the company invited artist. So GOD also worked out a lot of design and products related to the Hong Kong local culture. So you can see those clothing, right, you have in the store. So it's not like say, hey, you have to feature a specific topic. It's just to give him a general idea, say, why not you just feature something related to Hong Kong culture? And then the artist come out idea, say, okay, I pick Colon Wall City. Actually between those conversations, there's a lot of space to do with you got the commission, but you also got the freedom to do your own art. So I still think it's a good way to support the street artists to do their job and also develop their artwork. Yeah, that's my point of view.
I agree because I'm in the same case because I do commission project on the street as well. So I got paid, but at the same time I can't do. Usually the client they give me space. If sometimes client they don't give me space, I just ask them to you can find an agency to a design agency or something. You don't need an artist to do something for you because you've already an idea. You want to put your logo somewhere that. I don't want to paint the logo. And yeah, so I feel but still some people they think I think this way, for example in Hong Kong I want to paint something on the street. I can tell you it's impossible. If you want to take your time to paint something on the street, you have to ask for the permission. And most of the time, if you want to ask for the permission, you have to ask the shop, and the shop will give you a guideline. So in the end, I feel if I still need to paint something with the guideline for free, I would rather to do a commission. So you pay me, and then maybe you can give a little bit brief for me that I can do something for you. But it's also a balance for me. I will not give off my own style and what I've been doing. But at the same time, maybe I can try to combine with some elements of your company or brand. So yeah, this is how I work for the moment and try to make a balance.
What you said reminded me of this commercial that used to play in my hometown, and it was like a used car salesman rapping to a hip hop beat, come on down, we got the best deals in town. It's fake as fuck. It's fake, right? You see right through it. I think that's a lot of the consumers see through that. So, as an artist, if it's a big paycheck, you take it and run, but you don't put it on your portfolio. You're not a lot of us, especially when you're starting out or getting a name for yourself, you can't be like, oh, Victoria's Secret, here's 50 grand for a wallet. That's 3 months of rent or 2 months of rent. I gotta take that. Of course you're gonna do it. You're not gonna put it on your portfolio look what I did. It's fake, and it's a lot of those. It feels fake. It is milli vanilli. It's that sort of it's, you're speaking, it's not the real art. They're just trying to figure out how to connect to their audience, and most of the time you can see through it. You obviously saw through it. If you cringe, then it's not doing the right thing. So, yeah, as an artist, you take it, you want that money, but at the same time, you're not really proud of it, because it is massively corporate. It's not about an expression or an idea. They're just like, paint my logo on here and make it look trendy. But yeah, I mean, you take it and go, and then hopefully you take that money and do something that you love, somewhere else.
Hey, I'm not saying, just building on that point a little bit. So we've gone from kind of paint and run to the kind of more commercial side of it. I'd be really interested to know each of your opinions as to what's next. So what's really going to be the next development, moving on from retail and restaurant spaces? What's the next development, in your opinion, your predictions for the next phase of street art in the community?
I don't know. I think there's a really, has anyone tried like Google the virtual reality brush? Have you seen that, like the spaces? I think eventually that's sort of where it's going to go. It's going to go into like a 3D sort of space, room with the Google Tilt, I think it's called. I've tried it and it's amazing. Like you paint and you can look around and you can paint in 3D. So I think it's going to eventually go to something like that where you can just go in and go into someone's painting. And that was sort of what it would be from what I said. I have no idea.
I don't know too, but as an artist, what I want to see is like maybe 10 years after in Hong Kong, like we can paint. It's more acceptable. I hope it's more acceptable in Hong Kong. Like more, we have more legal wall that we can paint, and we have more street art festival that can do bigger, and more artists can participate of the festival. And for example, like I was going to say last weekend, it was really interesting. You can see painting everywhere, and then I was with some friend, and then we just buy some paint and then paint on the middle, paint in the middle of the city. I never done that before. It's crazy. Like I was like asking my friend, I'm not sure if we can do that. I said, it's okay, it's okay. And I won't say like Hong Kong will be like that. It's crazy, but I hope at least we can really build a community for artists. We can easier to find some spot to paint, like at least place for practice. We don't even have place for practice our painting. Like if I want to try to spray paint, I have to do it outdoor somewhere, but it's really not easy to find a place that you can take the time and then you can practice. So I hope at least we have a legal wall to paint.
This is a very good question that I think was like for artists. Maybe I can contribute some idea from the market side. So I think, once we ask like what is the next trend, maybe we can look into from a different perspective, like, what is the next group of audiences. So I would say as a millennials, and we're definitely occupying the whole world. So next generation is millennials, and when we look into the habits or like thinking style for this group, and we can figure out some different personality. For example, maybe we prefer to do more experience, like have more experience rather than just go by some arts. So that's probably give an idea, say maybe related to street arts, we can have more people engaged as you can do the arts yourself, right? So that's also what we try to do. We try to looking for those like spare walls in Hong Kong and have more people just do arts yourself. So I think that's like a good start for people to experience street art. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm just trying to be mindful of time. So if you have more questions, maybe you can approach the individually. So thank you to all three speakers, and thanks everyone for coming.